Hey everyone, my name is Jenny, and I'm an EIM 504 student at Jacksonville State University. Today, I would like to help you learn some of the basic skills needed for using a spreadsheet. So what is a spreadsheet? A spreadsheet is an application for your computer or other electronic device that can be used to organize, store, and analyze data. Spreadsheets are comprised of rows and columns, and the intersection of rows and columns is called a cell. Cells make it really easy to input data into your document and make it really easy to format it. Spreadsheets mirror a paper spreadsheet, and paper spreadsheets historically have been used by companies to keep track of their accounting. They use them to calculate earnings, debits. They also use them to keep track of their inventory. Some of the spreadsheet programs that are out there include Numbers, and Numbers is the spreadsheet for Mac. Sheets is the Google spreadsheet program. And Excel, of course, is the Microsoft spreadsheet. That's my favorite, is Excel. Some of the applications for using a spreadsheet include creating budgets, creating charts, which can later be put into a Word document or into a presentation, to store data, and then later to analyze the data you've stored. You can also use them as a database where you might house information such as books in your library, or you could use it to house information regarding your employees so that you can later sort that information or filter it. You can also use it as a bank account register. When you start with a formula that starts with your beginning balance, the formula will continue down through and update your current balance as you make debits and credits. I always love telling my 8th grade students that if they are good enough at formulas in a spreadsheet program, that they can make the program do some of their math homework for them. It's always a good way to keep kids interested. And you can also use it, teachers use it to create grade books. All right, so let's take a look at what a spreadsheet looks like and see what we can learn in a short period of time. Okay, today we're going to be working with Excel for Mac. This is the spreadsheet for a class that I'm currently taking. It's a document that we're using to keep track of books that we read and information about each book. You can see that it's asking for the author, title, the publisher, published date. YA is it a young adult book? And then is it an ebook? Has it earned any awards? And if so, what are the awards it's earned? So every spreadsheet has rows that are labeled with a number, and you can see that down this side. And then they have columns which are labeled with a letter. Where these two intersect is called a cell. And we would reference a cell by the letter first and the number second. So the cell that I'm currently in is going to be cell B1, column B, row 1. At this point, it's kind of difficult for us to read anything that's on the spreadsheet because all the information is you'll see it's all kind of pushed together and it overlaps. So I have a couple of different options. And the first thing that I could do is I could make every one of these columns large enough to fit all of the information in. But you notice when I do that, column C becomes awfully large. And then if I do the same thing to column D, I can't see all of my information on here. So we're going to come up with another solution. What we're going to do is we are going to do what's called a wrap text. So I'm going to select everything in my spreadsheet, and I can do that simply by clicking this little box. And I'm going to go up here to the middle where it says wrap text. If I click on that, you'll notice that it instantly shifts my rows and makes them a little bit larger. However, all of my columns stay pretty consistent to size what they were before, and it makes everything so much easier to read. So there's other ways that I could have selected all of my columns. I could have simply clicked on the column letter B, held my mouse down, and drug across to column I. That would have only included the columns that I'm actually working with. You could also click on the first column, hold your shift key down, and while your shift key is still held down, click on the column I, and that will also select everything within there. So the next thing I'd like to do to my spreadsheet is I would like to make my column headings stand out a little bit more. Right now they're all kind of the same size and font as the rest of the document. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select row 1. Now when I selected the columns, I wasn't worried about selecting column A because there's no information in it, but I want you to understand that you can select those cells, and any formatting that you do will automatically apply to any information or data that you put into that one. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to change the size of the font because I think it needs to be bigger to stand out. So I'm going to select row 1, and I'm going to come up here to on my home tab, and I'm going to choose this button, this little drop down, and I'm going to change the size of my font to a 14. That makes it pop out quite a bit. It makes it a little bit easier to see. So that's kind of a quick fix. I may also want to change the font so that it stands out. And all I need to do is, while I still have row 1 selected, I'm going to go up to my fonts and I'm going to choose a different one. You can choose something a little bit fancier, or you can change it to something a little more fun, whatever you want to do. I think for mine, I'm going to change it to one of my all-time favorite fonts, Chalkboard. How appropriate is Chalkboard for a school? And now it looks kind of like my font has kind of shrunk down because some fonts, when you change them, the size adjusts for theirs. So I'm going to go back in and make it a 16, just make it a little bit bigger. And look what happened. When I made the font bigger, it took some of my information off, and it also made it not fit into my row. A simple fix to that is I'm going to click at the bottom of row 1 between the number 1 and 2. I'm going to drag it down just a little bit, and all of my information is in there. Now, my columns still seem okay with the exception of column E. I'm just going to make that one a little bit bigger, just a tad bit, and then everything seems to fit in quite well. All right, so what do you think? Is it looking better? Another thing that we can do is we can select these rows or these column headings, and we can make some changes to them by adding color or background formats, patterns. However, if I select row 1, you'll notice that the entire thing is shaded in and selected all the way across. That continues until the end of time. And I don't want that. I don't want to see shading color changes over here. I only want it to apply to my actual spreadsheet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the very first one, cell A1. I'm going to hold my shift key down and select cell I1. Now any changes that I make will only apply to these cells. Let's go up here to Format and Cells. And when that opens up, it gives us a whole bunch of different formatting boxes. We could format our numbers. We could change the alignment, which means whether it's at the top, the bottom, or the middle, and whether it's on the left, the center, or the right in our cells. But what we're going to look at first is borders and fill. Now, I want to apply a border to my spreadsheet titles or column titles because that will make them stand out even more. And you'll notice right now I've got all these line styles that I can choose from. This is one of my favorites, the little swirly thing. I'm going to come over here to where it says presets. Right now it's clicked that it says none, but I'm going to ask it to outline. So you'll notice it puts an outline around here. Okay? Line color can also be changed, and I think I'm going to change my line color to maybe a red. That way I'll make sure you can see it. Let's look and see what happens. So let's look and see what happened. Well, as you notice, it didn't change the color of it. So let's go back in and see if we can figure out why. We'll go back to Format, Cells, and we'll look at our border. And it looks like we've chosen the same border, but what we need to do is we need to choose our color and then choose that we want it to be an outline and click OK. And there is our outline, all red with our little squigglies. All right, we're not done yet. We're going to go back into Format, Cells, And we are going to do what's called fill. That means that we're going to put some color and design behind our titles, our column titles. So let's see, let's choose a color. We chose red for our outline. So let's choose something else that will stand out pretty well so that you can see it. And let's go with a green. So we're going to choose green, and you'll notice that there's a sample of it. Could have also clicked over here. This is for our pattern that we're about to put in. So let's put a yellow pattern in, and let's choose a pattern style. You want to make sure that when you choose a pattern style that you don't choose anything that is too dark, because you don't want it to completely cover up your words. So let's choose this one, and you'll notice that you can see the yellow lines throughout my green pattern. And I'm going to click OK to apply my changes, and there it is. Now I know this kind of looks a little weird for a spreadsheet, but I wanted to give you some diversity in this to make sure you could see the changes that can be made within a spreadsheet. So what do you think? You think it turned out pretty good? I do. I hope you've enjoyed watching me teach you how to format some data, some cells in a spreadsheet. Thanks for watching.